Silver with a massive springback that includes gold and particularly platinum as well. This is your weekly price analysis and update brought to you by Ainslie Bullion and the Gold and Silver Standard. My name's Joe. Let's use the time codes below to click to your favorite metal. We're looking here first at silver, priced in US dollars, 25 US dollars right now. Looking at it on the weekly time frame, we're using the tradingview.com website. Let's pop on the indicators, and here's what you'll notice from last week. We were at $23.12 roughly. We were still within this symmetrical triangle pattern, which is this one right here. I'll pop this down onto the daily for you. And what you can see right here, and what we had been talking about last week, is we wanted to see a move back above the symmetrical triangle pattern. And I was talking about the fact that it would need to move above here of $24.50 and then hold above $24.50 or act as support roughly, in order for me to be confident that, yep, we are about to make another play for the infamous $26 level. I think third time's a charm here. So that little level just there, one double top failed move. I think third time it's going to break. It may spend a tiny little bit, but I think it's going to break this time and then onwards and upwards. That's if, though, we do hold this area. So the area to hold, my opinion, of course, none of this is financial advice and all that stuff, but I would say anywhere between right here of $24 and the top of this right here of $24.50. That would be an area that if we had a little bit of a consolidation back down, because we've had the last week or so just a beautiful run up, a couple of days, the first couple of days after this, after the last week's technical analysis, we just shot right up. But you can see here we've topped out so far at $25.20 roughly. So a movement that back down to between $24.50 and $24, completely normal. So even if we come down to 24, wouldn't be worried. As long as we hold 24 as support, I'd be happy to say we're going to continue on our merry way up. If we break down through 24 or close below 24, I should say, at least maybe on the daily time frame, then I would suggest we'd come back, and this may be an area of test right here, this downtrend line, but look, it's hasn't really held the last time, so you never know, we may spend more time in this area right here, but for now, $24 is the line in the sand for me. More likely than not, we bounce off $24.50 and then head on our merry way up. Of course, again, not financial advice, and if you're dollar cost averaging anyway, which we think is the best way to do it, you don't really care too much where the price goes over the short term, because you're just buying in regular amounts. If you're new to the channel, lots of new subscribers this week. Welcome. If you're watching the price analyses for the first time, very, very quickly, $26. I won't bore everyone else with it, but $26 is a huge line in the sand, has been so for a very long time. It was support all the way after the peak in 2011. It acted as support 1, 2, 3 times roughly, and then it didn't hold, and that's when we had this huge bear market all the way down. And then you can see here, here's the 26 mark right here. 1 attempt failed, 2 attempt failed, third attempt failed, 4th attempt fail, 5th attempt resistance, and 6th attempt. Now within this little micro area here, do we say third time's a charm this time, at least on this little area here? Let's pop back onto the daily. Is third time a charm after this attempt and this attempt? I think so. I think if we come back up to the 26 area, quite likely that we do take it out this time. The more times you knock on the door, the more likely it is to be opened, if that makes sense. Having a look at the relative strength index, though, just bear in mind we're not there yet, but heading into overbought territory on the daily time frame, that is. So that's why quite possibly around this area, if you see consolidation back to that 24.50 to 24 area, don't be surprised. It's nothing to cry about, because we are getting towards overbought territory. And as you know, or as you may be learning right now, with the relative strength index, you just go through periods of going to oversold and then back to overbought, etc. Just goes back up and down. So a little bit of a consolidation down to this area, nothing to worry about in my humble opinion. Let's take a look at it on the weekly time frame. Weekly, so we've already opened the week, obviously. We've opened the week green. I don't be surprised. Let's see, let's have a look at the relative strength index, what you can see here. There's that oversold territory. This was back in July of last year. Okay, so that's all the way back down here when we came back down to the bottom of this symmetrical triangle pattern of $17.50. Oh, actually, yeah, I was around about that area there. So we haven't spent some time in oversold for quite some time. We are tracking up in terms of the relative strength index. Just don't be surprised if this next week is a red week and that we come back down to that 24 to 24.50 area. Again, that's not a worry for me personally that we're, heading back down. Just got to hold that 24. So that is silver. And of course, if we do break through 26, the next levels I've had drawn in. Well, actually, no, I just drew this in and I haven't spoken about this yet. So I drew this in just before. You haven't seen this on previous videos on silver. No, you have not. So the next little area of resistance that we need to get through is this purple range right here. And that's anywhere between 27 to 28. Let's around about $26.80 roughly to $28. That would probably be, if we break through 26, that area there would be an area of resistance. And then we'd have probably a little bit of consolidation, maybe a test back of 26. And then we have to see if it holds this time. The big thing for silver is, as you can see here, it does break out of 26 sometimes, and it can spend a number of weeks above 26. But 1, 2, 3, I'll call that at least 3 times of significantly breaking out of 26, but not holding it. Okay, so it needs to hold for at least, for me, I'm going to say, so what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to say 6 weeks at least. It's got to hold above for 6 weeks. Well, you can call it 2 months if you really want to, because we've been lied to before. Right here, we thought it was we were back down, and we thought it was happening here, and then a few weeks above 26, and then back down. So if it does break 26, be happy about it. It's going to be a good thing. But just still be a little bit wary. We want it to hold for at least probably 6 weeks before we can really... Now, of course, if it breaks above 28, and particularly above this area here of 28, I'll pop this in right here. Particularly if it breaks and closes above the $28.50 level right there, then I'm starting to get really, 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 really excited for silver for me, and that means I think we'd be on our way to the 31, and then of course after the 31 is my big most realistic area if we have a big surge in silver for the rest of the year is the $37 to $40 mark. That's where I think the most realistic highest price it could go by the end of 2023, barring some kind of black swan or something which really shoots it to the moon, if you know what I'm saying. So that's pretty much it for silver. All right, let's take a look at our old friend gold. Tried and tested and true, been money for thousands of years, as such as silver as well. Take a look at gold. Last time, I think we were around about $1,930 roughly. Yeah, there we go. And we had been talking about this area here of 1,960. Had to hold, that could have been area of resistance, as I was saying last week, and we would want to see it move above and hold above 1960 to be confident that we're heading up higher. So far, 1,975. That's pretty darn good. Let's have a look on the daily time frame. And similar thing with silver, a big move. So definitely this area has held as support so far. The low right there of $1,895 roughly. Now what we saw in the last week was a move right up to that 1960 area. What do you know? It was an area of resistance. So we saw a couple of days back down from 1960, very clear resistance right there. And lovely to see a beautiful move up yesterday, a lovely green candle from about 1955 to 1985, a $30 move yesterday. That is fantastic to see. So topping out 1985, that coincides with this high up here. So a resistance point for sure. Similar to silver, if we see a little move back down, I would say 1960 would want to be the most you would want to see it go down to. So I'd like to see it hold support of 1960 to be confident that we are heading up further. If we do break down through 1960, then back down to this area, I'll put a little line right there. Can you see that? I can see it. Can you see it? right there. It's acting as some support right there and some resistance. And that's at, it's that 1930 level, roughly 1930 to 1935. So if we do come back through 1960, consider next support level at around about 1935. Breaking down from there, that's not good. Then you'd be coming back down to this downtrend line right here, but let's leave that for now. Let's just see where it goes in the next week. Definitely want to see it hold above though, 1960 preferably. Moving up from 1960, if we just go great guns for the next couple of weeks, of course you'll get next week's technical analysis as well. So if we do hold that, I did have the top end here at $2,000. Let's pop this on the weekly time frame. On the daily, this is interesting. On the relative strength index on the daily time frame, we're still a little bit under overbought, so quite potentially a little bit of room to move higher. Let's take a look at the weekly. What you can see on the weekly, why is that drawn in like that? I don't know. Let me get rid of that. What you can see on the weekly, we were talking about last week how we bounced off support right here of the halfway level of the relative strength index at the 50 point mark right there, halfway point. And in this next week, we do have a little bit of room to move. So I would say the maximum for this week would be at your $2,000 level. Can you see that there? The top of that rectangular box, that purple box right there, area of resistance, $2,000. That may be an area of resistance this week if we do continue up a little bit more. And of course, if we break above in the next coming weeks, and of course, again, you get a weekly analysis. If we do break above, we'd want to see around about that 1985 to 2000 as support. And then we're on our way up to all-time highs again. And of course, for the newbies, I've been talking about this for a while, but if you are new, here might be an area of resistance around about your 2120 to 2140 level, and the big resistance I think is going to come at around about your $2,400 level. That happens to be a Fibonacci level. I just don't have that drawn in at the moment. So 2,400 to 2,500 kind of psychological value. But that's in the next sort of months and etc. coming ahead. Let's just see what happens in the next 7 days. That is gold. Now let's take a look at platinum. Wow, what a move in platinum. So platinum here, all the way back down, we'd come all the way down to $900, and we were talking about that area as support right there, which it did act as support. 923 it was last week's video. Since then, a $60-something move. And last week we'd been talking about the fact that we had gone into oversold territory on the daily time frame. So I was and we'd come out of that. So I was suggesting you could at least have a move, and I actually underestimated this move. You could at least have a move, I said, over the next couple of weeks, and it only took a week, up to this area right here of 960. So I was suggesting that 960 might be a level of resistance. It was not. We just sailed through there, and we've actually come nearly all the way back to the top of this triangle right here, this symmetrical triangle right there. So that's looking positive so far for platinum. A huge spring back in platinum, which is good to see. We have yet to break and hold above this downtrend line, which also happens to coincide with the 200-day moving average. So right there, yet to hold above that. That's what you would want to see. A move above and then a hold above the 200-day moving average, this blue line right there. What I could suggest, just basing on this little red day right now, few days or a couple of days of consolidation back down, wouldn't be surprising at all since we had such a big run. So I'll move back down to test maybe this downtrend line, or 960 I think would be the major support level. So somewhere around this little area right there of between 970 to 960. If we come back down there as support, don't be worried. I'd suggest if we break down through 960, then we're looking coming back down to the 940 area. Would I be concerned if we break back down? Not necessarily. No, I'd be happy if we came back down to 940 as support in the next couple of weeks. Breaking 940, not good, in my opinion. So absolute line in the sand is $940, and I'll pop in a blue line right there, even though you can see it in the purple box range. Preferable support between 960 to 970. Ultimate support line in the sand, don't go lower than this, don't close lower than this or else, is 940 in my opinion. Of course, we want to see it break above the downtrend line right here, the big downtrend line right up here. This again, new to the channel, this goes all the way back. This one here goes back to 2021. So we want to see it break above and hold above that, but let's just wait to see what that does in the next couple of weeks. Let's just focus on that 960 to 970 area and breaking out above this particular pattern right here and breaking and holding above the 200-day moving average. That's at around about 995 roughly. If it continues to go a little bit higher, you can maybe call it the psychological value of $1,000. So that's roughly the resistance points we need to break above and hold above, and the support levels for platinum. That's the technical analysis, the price analysis and update for this week. What I want you to do always is subscribe to the channel. Please like this video. It helps with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel for everything we do, our weekly 2 or 3 times a week, usually insights, videos, interviews with prominent people in the industries, of course, our weekly specials, much more to the channel. So please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another price analysis and update. Balance your wealth in an unbalanced world. Take care. We'll see you next time.